The poem begins with the poet describing a natural scene in winter. A crow shakes the snow off a hemlock tree, causing the dust of snow to fall on the poet. The poet does not explicitly state why he is standing beneath the tree, but the imagery suggests a cold, somber, or reflective moment. The crow and the hemlock tree, both traditionally associated with darkness, gloom, and even death, set a melancholic tone at the beginning of the poem. However, despite the seemingly dull and lifeless setting, this small act of nature, the snow falling from the tree onto the poet, changes his mood. The second stanza reveals that the poet was having a bad day or was in a sorrowful mood. But this tiny, unexpected event of snow falling upon him refreshes his spirits. It makes him realize that his day has not been completely wasted. This simple moment reminds him that beauty and joy can be found even in the most unlikely of places and that nature has the power to uplift and transform one's emotions. The poem begins with the poet addressing a popular debate about the end of the world. Instead of focusing on a literal interpretation of these elements, Frost uses them metaphorically. Fire represents desire, passion, greed, and uncontrolled emotions. It symbolizes human tendencies such as lust, ambition, and materialism, which can lead to destruction. Just as fire can rapidly consume everything in its path, excessive desire can lead to devastating consequences for both individuals and societies. Ice represents hatred, indifference, and cold-heartedness. It symbolizes emotions such as jealousy, resentment, and cruelty. Unlike fire, which destroys quickly, ice represents a slow, gradual destruction caused by emotional coldness, apathy, and lack of compassion. In the next few lines, the poet expresses his own opinion. He agrees that the world could end in fire, as he has experienced the destructive power of desire. However, he also acknowledges that ice, or hatred, is equally capable of bringing about destruction. He states that if the world were to end twice, ice would be sufficient to cause its downfall. This suggests that hatred. 1. The Tiger in Captivity, stanza 1 and 2. The poem begins by describing a majestic tiger pacing back and forth inside a small cage in a zoo. The tiger's stripes are bright, and its skin shines, but despite its strength, it is helpless. The cage restricts its movement, and instead of roaming freely, it walks silently along the cage's length, taking measured steps. The poet emphasizes the tiger's lost power by highlighting how its once mighty paws are now soft and silent, showing that captivity has weakened its spirit. The second stanza describes how the tiger, in its narrow cage, remains angry but quiet. It is not roaring or growling as a free tiger would. Instead, it feels trapped, unable to express itself fully. At night, instead of hunting, the tiger can only stare at the stars outside, dreaming of a world it can never reach. 2. The Tiger in the Wild, stanza 3 and 4. The poet then contrasts the tiger's life in captivity with how it would behave in the wild. If it were free, the tiger would be lurking in the long grass near a waterhole, waiting to hunt deer for food. It would live as nature intended, strong, fierce, and independent. The next stanza describes another aspect of the tiger's free life. The poet imagines the tiger roaming near human villages at night, creating fear among the people. This is a natural behavior of wild tigers, as they sometimes wander close to villages in search of food. Stanza 1. The Asian lion. The poet says that if you are roaming in an eastern forest, referring to Asia, and suddenly come across a large, tawny, yellowish-brown animal, you should be careful. If the animal roars loudly enough to make you shiver with fear, then it must be an Asian lion. 1. Humor. The poet jokes that by the time you recognize the lion, it might be too late, as the lion could attack. Stanza 2. The Bengal tiger. In this stanza, the poet describes another ferocious beast, the Bengal tiger. The poet humorously says that if you meet an animal with black stripes on yellow skin and it jumps on you and eats you up, then you will know that it was a Bengal tiger. 1. Humor. The idea that one can identify the tiger only after being eaten adds irony and dark humor to the poem. Stanza 3. The leopard. The poet warns that if you happen to see a leopard and it suddenly leaps on you, don't expect any mercy. It will keep attacking, and repeating its spots, attacks, again and again until you are dead. 1. Wordplay. the poet uses the word spots to have a double meaning, referring to both the leopard skin spots and repeated attacks. 2. Humor. The poet jokingly suggests that it's impossible to escape from a leopard once it starts attacking. Stanza 4. The bear. The poet now talks about the bear. She says that if you find yourself hugged tightly by an animal, then it must be a bear. However, this hug is not out of love. It is a deadly bear hug, which can crush a person to death. 1. Humor. The poet makes the bear's dangerous attack sound funny by comparing it to a friendly hug. Stanza 5. The hyena and the crocodile. The poet now introduces two animals that can be recognized by their expressions. 1. The hyena. The poet says that a hyena can be identified by its smiling face. 1. Hyenas have a habit of making sounds that seem like laughter. 2. The crocodile. If you see an animal shedding tears while eating its prey, it must be a crocodile. 2. This refers to the phrase, crocodile tears, which means fake tears. 1. Humor. The poet plays with the idea of expressions, the hyena's laughter and the crocodile's tears, to make these dangerous animals sound amusing. Stanza 6. The chameleon. Finally, the poet talks about the chameleon, a small reptile known for changing colors to blend into its surroundings. The poet humorously suggests a way to identify it. Stanza 1. Scolding and instructions. The poem begins with the mother scolding Amanda for not sitting properly. 1. She tells Amanda not to slouch while sitting and to sit up straight. 2. This represents strict discipline and how parents impose rules on children. 3. Amanda, on the other hand, does not respond. Instead, she daydreams about being a mermaid. Stanza 2. Amanda's imagination as a mermaid. 1. Amanda imagines herself as a mermaid, gliding freely in the green sea. 2. She enjoys the peace and silence of the water, where she is alone and can do as she pleases. 3. This symbolizes her desire for escape and freedom from the restrictions imposed by her mother. Stanza 3. More instructions from the mother. 1. The mother now scolds Amanda for her bad habits, like biting her nails, not cleaning her feet. 2. The tone remains strict and commanding, showing how Amanda's life is filled with rules. 3. Once again, Amanda does not respond and escapes into another imaginary world. Stanza 4. Amanda's imagination as an orphan. 1. Amanda now imagines herself as an orphan, roaming barefoot on dusty roads. 2. She finds happiness in her own company and enjoys her carefree life, without anyone telling her what to do. 3. This indicates how suffocated Amanda feels in her real life and how she sees even being an orphan is better than her current situation. Stanza 5. More scolding from the mother. 1. The mother gets upset because Amanda is not paying attention to her scolding. 2. She asks Amanda if she has completed her homework and tells her not to eat chocolate, as it may cause acne. 3. This shows how every small action of Amanda is controlled, leaving her frustrated. 4. Instead of replying, Amanda escapes into another fantasy world. Stanza 6. Amanda's imagination as Rapunzel. 1. Amanda now imagines herself as Rapunzel, a princess from a fairy tale who lived in a tower away from society. 2. However, unlike the story, Amanda does not want a prince to rescue her. 3. She enjoys the idea of living alone in her peaceful tower, away from responsibilities and scolding. 4. This reflects Amanda's deep desire to be left alone and to live life on her own terms. Final stanza, the mother's concern for society. 1. The mother warns Amanda about her behavior, saying that she should not sulk or look unhappy because people might think she is mistreating her. 2. This shows how the mother is more worried about society's opinion rather than Amanda's feelings. 3. Amanda, however, remains silent, indicating that she has completely withdrawn into her imagination and has stopped listening to the real world. Lines 1-4. The loss of the ball. The poem begins with the poet describing how a young boy has lost his ball while playing near a dock. 1. The ball bounces into the water and slowly sinks, leaving the boy stunned and helpless. 2. The poet observes that the boy is emotionally affected by this loss, as the ball was important to him. Lines 5-9. The boy's reaction. 1. The boy is in deep shock as he watches his ball disappear forever. 2. He is unable to express his grief but feels a deep sense of loss. 3. The poet understands that, to others, a ball may seem like a small thing, but for the boy, it holds memories and sentimental value. Lines 10-14, learning about loss. 1. The poet does not offer to buy the boy a new ball because he wants him to learn an important life lesson. 2. He realizes that money cannot replace emotions and that some things, once lost, can never be brought back. 3. The boy must learn to accept loss and move on, just as people lose things in life and have to find ways to cope. Lines 15-19, the harsh reality of life. 1. The poet explains that losing things is a part of growing up. 2. People lose many things in life, including loved ones, childhood, and innocence. 3. The boy is now learning about responsibility and how to cope with the pain of loss. Lines 20-25, moving forward. 1. The boy realizes that he cannot get his ball back. 2. Slowly, he accepts reality and moves on. 3. The poet ends with the idea that this experience has changed the boy, helping him understand the deeper truths of life. Introduction. The Trees, by Adrienne is a symbolic poem that explores the themes of freedom, nature, feminism, and human oppression. The poem describes how trees, which were once confined inside a house, are now breaking free and moving towards the forest. This movement of the trees is a metaphor for women's liberation from oppression and the restoration of nature's balance. Stanza-wise summary. Stanza 1. The silent struggle of the trees. 1. The poet describes how the trees are trapped inside a house, unable to grow freely. 2. Their roots are working hard to break free, and their leaves are trying to reach out through small openings. 3. The branches are stiff and cramped, as if they have been in captivity for a long time. 4. The trees are silently struggling to escape and return to the forest, symbolizing the desire for freedom. Stanza 2. The desperate escape of the trees. 1. The trees begin to break free from their confinement. 2. The poet compares their movement to a newborn child trying to stand. This represents a fresh start, just like a revolution. 3. The trees are bent and twisted, but they are determined to move towards the forest. 4. This symbolizes rebellion against oppression, whether it is of nature or of human beings, especially women. Stanza 3. A silent witness. 1. The poet describes how she sits inside the house, watching the trees leave. 2. The air inside is still and lifeless, showing how the presence of the trees was artificial. 3. Even though she watches the trees breaking free, she does not interfere, indicating a passive observation of change. Stanza 4. The trees regain their freedom. 1. The trees finally reach the forest, and the night is filled with movement and energy. 2. The moonlight appears broken as it shines through the moving trees, creating a beautiful yet chaotic scene. Introduction. Fog, by Sandburg, is a short yet powerful poem that uses the metaphor of a cat to describe the movement of fog. It highlights the beauty of nature and its quiet dominance over human landscapes. Line by line summary. Lines 1-2. The arrival of the fog. 1. The poet states, the fog comes on little cat feet. 2. This means that fog moves in silently and smoothly, just like a cat walking on soft paws. 3. The choice of a cat as a metaphor emphasizes the stealth, grace, and unpredictability of fog. Lines 3-4. The fog observes the city. 1. The fog sits and watches over the harbor and the city. 2. This suggests that fog does not rush in or disturb anything, but rather observes its surroundings like a patient and quiet creature. 3. The fog's temporary presence shows that nature has its own way of pausing and looking over human activities. Lines 5-6. The fog moves on. 1. After staying for a while, the fog moves away as silently as it came. 2. Just like a cat, it does not announce its departure but simply slips away. The Tale of Custard the Dragon is a humorous ballad by Ogden Nash, which tells the story of a cowardly dragon named Custard who, despite being mocked by others, turns out to be the bravest when danger arrives. The poem is written in a light-hearted and playful manner, using exaggerated characters to convey an important lesson about true bravery and self-worth. Stanza-wise summary. Stanza 1-2, Introduction of the characters. 1. The poem introduces Belinda, a little girl who lives in a white house with her 4 pets: Ink, a black kitten; Blink, a grey mouse; Mustard, a yellow dog; Custard, a big green dragon. 2. The poet describes Custard as having sharp teeth, spikes on his back, and a powerful tail, which makes him look fierce and dangerous. Stanza 3-4, The bravery of everyone except Custard. 1. All the animals, including Belinda, consider themselves very brave. 2. Ink and Blink claim to be as fearless as a tiger. 3. Mustard boasts that he is as brave as a lion. 4. Belinda sees herself as the boldest of all. 5. However, Custard is different. He always cries for a safe cage, making everyone think he is a coward. Stanza 5-6, Mocking Custard. 1. Belinda and the other animals laugh at Custard for being so timid. 2. They mock him and tease him, calling him names because he always wants a safe place to hide. 3. Custard accepts their words without argument and does not try to prove himself. Stanza 7-8, The real danger arrives. 1. One day, a pirate suddenly enters Belinda's house. 2. The pirate looks fearsome, with a pistol in each hand and a sword in his mouth. 3. Everyone is terrified upon seeing the pirate. Stanza 9-10, The reactions of the brave ones. 1. The ones who boasted of bravery, Ink, Blink, and Mustard, run away in fear. 2. Even Belinda is frightened and starts crying for help. 3. Ironically, the only one who stands up to fight is Custard, the so-called coward. Stanza 11-12, Custard's bravery saves everyone. 1. Custard jumps in front of the pirate without hesitation. 2. He roars like an engine and attacks fiercely. 3. The pirate tries to defend himself with his sword and pistols, but Custard is too powerful. 4. In the end, Custard swallows the pirate whole, saving Belinda and the other pets. Stanza 13-14, Change in behavior after the battle. 1. Everyone cheers for Custard after he defeats the pirate. 2. Belinda hugs him, and Mustard, Ink, and Blink show their happiness in their own ways. Stanza 15-16, The mockery continues. 1. Even after Custard's brave act, Ink, Blink, and Mustard pretend they were never scared. 2. They again mock Custard and claim that they would have fought if they had the chance. 3. Custard, however, remains humble and does not argue. He still asks for a safe cage, showing that he does not care for praise. For Anne Gregory, by W.B. Yeats, is a thought-provoking poem that explores the idea of true love and society's obsession with physical beauty. Through a simple yet meaningful conversation between a young girl, Anne Gregory, and an old man, the poet conveys the message that most people fall in love based on external appearances, rather than inner qualities. However, he also hints at the possibility that only God can love someone for their true self, beyond physical attributes. Stanza-wise summary. Stanza 1. The power of physical beauty. 1. The speaker addresses Anne Gregory, saying that a young man in love with her would be enchanted by her beauty, especially by her golden hair. 2. He suggests that most men fall in love because of a person's physical charm rather than for their inner qualities. 3. The stanza highlights society's superficial nature, where beauty becomes the main reason for admiration. Stanza 2. Anne Gregory's response. 1. Anne Gregory strongly rejects the idea that someone should love her just for her looks. 2. She argues that if people love her only for her golden hair, then that love is not true or genuine. 3. She even suggests that she could change her hair color to a brown, black, or carrot-like shade, implying that she wants to be loved for who she truly is, not just for her appearance. Stanza 3. The wisdom of an old man. 1. The speaker, possibly the poet or an elder figure, tells Anne Gregory a deeper truth. He has read in a holy book that only God can love a person for their true self, beyond appearances. 2. This means that humans are naturally drawn to beauty and external qualities, while true unconditional love is rare among people. 3. The stanza conveys a philosophical and spiritual message, suggesting that only divine love is free from superficial judgment.